Good morning, everyone. So my name is Nur and my metric number is 3125558. So today we'll be presenting about two companies, that is Kratom Holdings Berhad and Chronology Asia Berhad. So now I'm going to briefly describe about the two companies' business activities. For Kratom Holdings Berhad. Kratom Holdings Berhad is a Malaysian oil palm plantation company listed on the main market of Bursa, Malaysia. The company's main activities include growing oil palm, producing crude palm oil and palm kernel, and carrying out downstream processes such as refining and biodiesel production. For Chronology Asia Berhad. Chronology Asia Berhad is recognized as one of the Asia's leading companies in enterprise data management or EDM. It is listed on the S market of Bursa Malaysia. The company has two main business segments. The first is EDM infrastructure technology, which provides hardware and software used to protect and manage data. Second is cloud and hybrid as a service, where customers subscribe to cloud storage and data management services.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Siti Wardah binti Mazlan and my metric number is 313049. I want to present about activity ratio such as current ratio and quiet ratio between Kratom Holdings Berhad and Chronology Asia Berhad. The first one is current ratio and the formula is current asset divide current liabilities. The current ratio analysis shows that Kratom Holdings Berhad has a strong liquidity position with a ratio of 3.25, meaning the company holds RM0.25 in current asset for every RM1 of current liability, and Chronology Asia Berhad record a current ratio of 1.84, which means it has RM1.84 in current asset for every RM1 of current liability, showing that the company still maintains sufficient liquidity and is capable of fulfilling its short-term debt commitments, although its position is not as strong as Kratom. Overall, both companies are able to cover their short-term liability, with Kratom demonstrating a more robust liquidity performance.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurul Nabila binti Roslan and my matrix number is 309893 and I will be presenting on activity ratio. So first will be total asset turnover ratio, which is Kratom Holdings Berhad is 0.61 times, that indicates of efficient asset usage. As for Chronology Asia Berhad, it is 0.50 times, which means of lower efficiency. This indicates of poor use of assets. Next, I will be presenting on comparison and suggestion for asset turnover ratio. Kratom, which is 0.61 times, outperform Chronology, which is 0.50. This shows that Kratom is more efficient than Chronology in the term of total asset usage. As for suggestion, Kratom need to enhance plantation management practices by using advanced harvesting technology. Second is by improving cost control and resource management to generate more output. As for Chronology, is by removing unnecessary or non-productive asset, which is by sell unnecessary machine or outdated hardware. And lastly, as expanding customer base and increase revenue, which is the more of the customer, the higher the sale. Now, I will be explaining account receivable turnover. As for account receivable turnover, Kratom Holdings Berhad has a 7.24 times, which means that Kratom collects its receivable around 7 times a year. This shows on efficient credit management. Next is Chronology Asia Berhad, where the account receivable turnover is 3.72 times, that shows it collects its receivable around 4 times a year. This shows a slow collection process. Next, I'll be presenting on comparison and suggestion for account receivable turnover. As for Kratom, it is 7.24 times, which is outperform Chronology, which is 3.72 receivable of management. This shows that our Kratom are faster and efficient in collection compared to Chronology. As for suggestion, Kratom need to enforce strict credit assessment that help in reduce the risk of bad debts. Second is by use advanced system technology that to ensure on-time payments. As for Chronology, is by tightening credit policy, which is shorten customer credit terms. And lastly, by strengthening follow-up due to overdue account using email or phone. That's all from me. I will pass to the next person.
My name is Nur Shasha Shafiqa Bedi Azali and my metric number 312912. For this slide, I will explain the profit margin on sale for a Kratom Holdings Berhad and a Chronology Asia Berhad. Profit margin show how much net profit company earn for every ringgit of sales. The formula is net income divided by net sales. For Kratom Holdings, the profit margin is 0.2396. This means that for every 1 ringgit of sales, Kratom earns about 24 cents in net profit. A higher margin like this shows that Kratom is managing its costs well and operating efficiently. On the other hand, Chronology Asia Berhad has a profit margin of 0.0289, which means it only earns around 3 cents for every 1 ringgit of sales. This is much lower compared to Kratom. For this part, I will compare the profit margin on sale between Kratom Holdings and Chronology Asia and share several suggestions for improvement. Based on the result, Kratom has a profit margin of 0.24, while Chronology only has 0.03. This is clearly shown that Kratom outperforms Chronology by the wide margin. Kratom is able to convert more of its sale into actual net profit, which means the company is more profitable and financially stronger. Chronology, on the other hand, keep a very little profit even though it's a generate revenue. This is indicate weaker cost management and a lower efficiency. Overall, Kratom demonstrate a better operational efficiency than the suggestion for both companies. For Kratom, the first suggestion is to improve cost efficiency by controlling production and operating expenses more effectively. Kratom can also reduce the wastage by using a modern agriculture technology. The second suggestion is to strengthen the plantation and mine efficiency. By improving the daily operation, Kratom can lower its production cost per unit while it's still maintaining a high product quality. For chronology, the first suggestion is to control operational expenses. This includes reviewing administrative and technology-related costs and cutting unnecessary spending to increase net profit. The second suggestion is to streamline internal process, which means improving workflow efficiency in their service delivery. By reducing delays and increasing productivity, chronology can enhance its profitability and overall performance. Now, I will talk about return on common shareholder equity, or ROE, for the Kretam Holding Berhad and Chronology Asia Berhad. ROE is a ratio that measures how well a company used the money invested by shareholders to generate a profit. The higher ROE, the better company is at turning equity into earnings. For Kretam Holding, the ROE is 0.1801. This means Kretam earns about 80 cents in profit for every 1 ringgit invested by shareholders. This shows that Kretam used its shareholders' funds effectively and is able to generate a strong return. Meanwhile, Chronology Asia Berhad an ROE of 0.0197, which means it only earns around 2 cents for every 1 ringgit of shareholder equity. This is much lower, showing that Chronology is less efficiency in using its equity to generate a profit. For this part, I will explain the comparison of return on equity, or ROE, between Kretam Holding Berhad and Chronology Asia Berhad, followed by the suggestion for both companies. Kretam has an ROE of 0.18, while Chronology only has 0.02, which show that Kretam significantly outperformed Chronology. Kretam gives much higher return to shareholder because it generates 80 cents of profit for every 1 ringgit of equity, whereas Chronology only generates about 2 cents. This means Kretam is using its shareholder funds more efficiently and is better at managing investment operations and equity financing. Overall, Kretam is far more effective in generating return from shareholder equity. For the suggestion starting with the Kretam, the company should invest in higher yield projects such as a pump-based or a downstream activities that can generate a stronger return. Another improvement is a strategic capital allocation, where Kretam channel its equity only into a project with a long-term growth. By maximizing the use of existing equity, the company can continue improving its overall return. For Chronology, the suggestion is to invest more in high-growth technology solution. This includes focusing on cloud service, data management, and advanced digital solution to boost profitability. Chronology should also reinvest its profits into a higher return tech projects so that shareholder equity is not left idle.
Hi, my name is Nur Azwani Shamini, matrix number 312834, and I will be presenting the leverage ratio analysis for Kretam Holdings Berhad and Chronology Asia Berhad. Starting with debt to assets ratio, the formula is total liabilities divided by total assets. For Kretam Holdings Berhad, the result is 0.19. This means only 0.19 of Kretam's total assets are financed by debt, while 0.81 are financed by equity. This indicates a very conservative capital structure with low financial leverage and strong financial stability. For Chronology Asia Berhad, using the same formula, we get 0.27. Chronology Asia finances 0.27 of its assets through debt, with 0.73 financed by equity. This represents a conservative to moderate leverage position with a healthy balance between debt and equity financing. Now, comparing both companies, overall, Chronology Asia Berhad has a higher debt to assets ratio at 0.27 compared to Kretam Holdings Berhad at 0.19. This means Chronology Asia uses more debt relative to its total assets. However, both companies maintain conservative capital structures with debt financing below 0.3 of total assets. Kretam demonstrates a more conservative approach with lower financial risk, while Chronology Asia utilizes slightly more leverage but still maintains a healthy and stable financial position. For suggestions, we recommend that Kretam uses strategic debt financing for asset expansion by increasing debt while keeping debt to assets below 0.4, using borrowed funds to acquire plantation land or processing equipment and leveraging their equity base of 0.81 for better long terms. For Chronology Asia, we suggest they balance debt financing with asset growth by taking moderate debt line with expansion plans using new borrowings for productive assets and keeping debt to assets below 0.4 for financial safety. Additionally, Kretam should diversify their assets portfolio to reduce risk by investing in renewable energy projects and downstream palm oil products. Chronology Asia should optimize asset utilization and efficiency by using asset tracking systems and investing in automation technology. Moving to the debt to equity ratio. The formula is total debt divided by total shareholder equity. For Kretam Holdings Berhad, the result is 0.09. This means for every 1 ringgit of equity, Kretam has only 0.09 ringgit of debt. This extremely low ratio indicates minimal financial leverage and a very conservative financial strategy. The company relies predominantly on equity financing, which reduces financial risk but may not be optimizing the use of cheaper debt financing for growth opportunities. For Chronology Asia Berhad, using the same formula, we get 0.03. Chronology Asia has only 0.03 ringgit of debt for every 1 ringgit of equity. This extremely low ratio indicates very minimal financial leverage and an ultra-conservative capital structure. The company is almost entirely equity financed, which provides maximum financial stability but suggests underutilization of debt as a financing tool. Comparing both companies, in 2024, Kretam Holdings Berhad has a higher debt-to-equity ratio at 0.09 compared to Chronology Asia Berhad at 0.03. This means Kretam uses more debt relative to its equity base, with over 3 times more leverage than Chronology Asia. However, both companies maintain extremely low debt-to-equity ratios, indicating ultra-conservative capital structures with minimal debt financing. Both companies are significantly under-leveraged compared to typical industry standards, suggesting they have substantial unused debt capacity for growth and expansion opportunities if needed. For recommendations, we suggest that Kretam optimize their capital structure to enhance shareholder returns. They should increase debt financing to a target debt-to-equity ratio of 0.25 to 0.3. Use debt for high-return projects such as plantation expansion or mill upgrades and take advantage of tax benefits from interest expenses. Kretam should also implement share buyback or dividend programs to improve earnings per share and return value to shareholders. For Chronology Asia, we recommend strategic leverage to maximize equity returns by substantially increasing debt financing to a target debt-to-equity ratio of 0.3 to 0.4, using borrowed funds for strategic acquisitions, new equipment, or expansion projects. Additionally, Chronology Asia should pursue strategic acquisitions using debt financing, identifying complementary businesses in precision engineering or manufacturing sectors to accelerate growth without equity dilution. In conclusion, both companies demonstrate strong financial stability with conservative capital structures, but have significant opportunities to optimize their leverage for enhanced growth and shareholder returns. Thank you for your attention.
Ratio comparison between Kretam Holding Berhad and Chronology Asia Berhad based on 4 categories: liquidity, activity, profitability, and leverage ratio. We're going to look at liquidity ratios. Current ratio. This shows that Kretam has a much stronger short-term financial position. Peak ratio. Again, Kretam is more liquid even after excluding inventories. Next, activity ratios. Total asset turnover generates more revenue per unit of asset compared to Chronology. Accounts receivable turnover. This indicates that Kretam is more efficient in collecting payments from its customers. On to profitability ratios. Profit margin on sales. This means Kretam earns more profit from each ringgit of sales. Return on common shareholders' equity. Kretam is providing a stronger return to its shareholders. Moving on to leverage ratios. Debt to asset ratio means Kretam is less reliant on debt to finance its assets. Debt to equity ratio. Both companies maintain low levels of debt, but Chronology is slightly more conservative. Conclusion: Kretam Holdings Berhad demonstrates excellent financial stability with superior liquidity ratios, but maintains excess cash that could be deployed more productively. Chronology Asia Berhad shows healthy liquidity in optimal current ratios and extremely conservative leverage. Both companies exhibit strong financial health with conservative capital structures. The primary opportunity for both is to optimize their capital structures through moderate increases in leverage to enhance returns while maintaining financial stability. A complete analysis including profitability and activity ratios would provide deeper insights into operational efficiency and overall performance.